Hello, ladies. Happy Sunday evening. I wanted to pop on quickly and just remind everyone that I am doing a live masterclass this coming Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. EST. If you can't make this time, please request a replay and I will send one personally to you. So it's called 3 Secrets to Getting Rid of Your Anxiety Without Medication. And it's where I do a much deeper dive than anything I'm doing on the lives to really help you understand how you can get to the root causes of your anxiety. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of the many root causes of anxiety, which is the food that you are eating. And so, there can be a lot of confusion out there about what to eat. I hear from a lot of women who say, yes, I'm eating healthy. I've cut out the sugar. Who think they're eating healthy. I had a client who was super healthy, and in fact, she was eating anxiety producing foods, and what they were doing is they were activating her immune response, and then that was actually sending her entire nervous system into high drive. So for some people who haven't heard of this before, I do an entire video on the gut to brain connection. But essentially what happens is if you're eating foods that you're intolerant to, it will start to irritate your nervous system. And then what's going to happen is you're going to wake up in the morning or spend every single day with this heightened nervous system response. And so then when you add stress on top of that, you're already going to be hyper elevated. And so what's really important is that you cut those foods out of your regular diet. And I don't just mean a sugar-free diet or buying lots of vegetables. That is great. But if you're eating the foods that are inflammatory, what's actually going to be happening is, despite all the nutrition you might be eating, these inflammatory foods are going to be causing you anxiety. And in fact, I've had many clients cut out the inflammatory foods, the key ones, and they've noticed right away. I had one woman within 7 days of cutting it out, she literally was like, holy crap, my entire nervous system just came down a notch. So imagine what that might be like for you if that's how easy it is, right? And for some women, that's their Jenga piece. That's the piece that's really going to cause everything else to follow. So if you've tried all of these other strategies, that is the main one that you might want to try next. So you might be sitting there listening and thinking, okay, what do I do? What do I cut out of my diet? So I'm going to share with you some of the big ones. So the big one is really gluten. And nobody really wants to cut gluten out of their diet, or you sort of cut it out. I hear this a lot. I've kind of gluten-free. You can't be kind of gluten-free. It's sort of like being kind of pregnant. You either are gluten-free or you're not gluten-free. And let me tell you why. Because if you have an immune response to gluten, the body is going to be producing the antibodies to gluten for 30 days. And then those antibodies are going to be in your system for another 30 to 60 days. So we're looking at a 90-day inflammatory immune response just by having gluten exposure. And so if you eat sandwiches once or twice a week and you're like, it's not that bad, that is actually enough to trigger your entire immune response and to keep your nervous system in high levels of anxiety. And that is why you really have to be serious when you're going gluten-free. The next big one is sugar. And so I'm not all about cutting out sugar forever. I think that is a death sentence. But what you do need to do is cut out the refined sugars and head more towards honeys as well as maple syrup. So more of those natural sweeteners. So why does sugar matter? Well, if you have an unhealthy gut, and even if you don't have gut symptoms, then what's actually going to happen is you are going to be feeding those gut bugs. And those gut bugs are going to be irritating your system. And then they're going going to be causing anxiety. So you may actually notice when you eat the sugar. For me, when I was really sick, my entire body would vibrate when I ate sugar because I was feeding mold in my stomach. And so I could really correlate it. And so that is why we want to cut sugar out. It's not to punish you, it's to stop feeding those gut bugs. And the third big one is dairy. Now, there's two reasons why we cut dairy out. One is that if you have gluten reactivity and are eating dairy, the body gets confused and it sometimes will respond to the dairy as well as the gluten. And the second one is dairy can be really hard to break down. And so oftentimes it's very allergenic for people. And so it causes, again, the immune response. So if you don't have a healthy gut, then you're not going to be producing the enzymes to break down the dairy, and then it's going to be further triggering you into an immune response. So I cannot stress enough how important eating clean is on your journey to getting to that healthy, low anxiety state. It's something that I do with all of the clients that work with me, is to encourage eating healthy, because your anxiety is really a result of root causes, and food can absolutely be a big one. Now, the big thing is what do I cook? Because no one wants to be told to cut out 10 zillion things and then stand in front of their kitchen and they're like, okay, well, I'm going to eat ice cubes then. And that's why I'm actually giving away a free meal plan. It's a fall meal plan. This is actually my absolute favorite meal plan. I've chocked it full of basically every fall recipe you can imagine. And I'm going to be giving it away on my free webinar or masterclass. And that is happening on Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. EST. Now, I realize that not everyone might be able to attend this, but if you sign up and then request a webinar or replay, I will actually directly send you the link. But I love for people to join me live, because that way you and I can interact. So it's a lot of sort of typing back and forth. I share information and check in with you on how you find it. So it's a super cool journey to go through to really start to dive deeper into root causes of anxiety. So if you want the link for the webinar, you can just type webinar below and I will send you the link, and I hope to see you on Tuesday. Have a good night.